Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, audience. You're tuned into Newcastle Fast FM, and this is Understanding the Quran with Imam Waleid. Assalamu alaikum, Imam Waleid. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, good to see you again. And how's your
Pardon?
how's your week been?
Alhamdulillah, busy with a new arrival in the family, and things getting very excited with the kids, excited with the new sister. But, alhamdulillah, sleepless nights now, back to normal.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. And I know I asked you this before, but for the benefit of the audience, what did you name your child?
Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me with 4 daughters and
MashaAllah.
boys as well, but with being for the 4th daughter, we called her Jannah, with the hope and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that she will be our path to Jannah, inshallah, if we raise her properly. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to raise her in the right manner, inshallah.
Inshallah. Do you mind if I share the story of last week when we were on this show?
Listen, I was an emergency call back, got out, so I came to the show waiting for a phone call for the wife to tell me let's go, but alhamdulillah, it didn't happen then. We waited, and it happened the following day. But you know what? Listen, if till the last minute, I would actually stay here until I get the call, because it's a duty upon every single one of us to do what we do, to pass the message. And as long as I have 1 minute, I'll be able to do it, inshallah, to the last minute. It's not the first time. I'm well rehearsed now in the process and the procedure. So as long as the boss at home is giving me permission to be here with yourselves, and I'll be inshallah more than happy to carry on.
Alhamdulillah. I was shocked last week when you told me the baby's on the way, it could come any minute. I was like, what are you doing here? Like we didn't have to do the show. But,
listen,
honestly, appreciate
alhamdulillah, it happened. It took 24 hours, really, for less than 24 hours for the baby to be born. So I wasn't, there was no rush, but we always be on red alert at that point, because if anything was to happen, then we'll move forward, and we'll have to go to receive our surprise, because we didn't even know if it was a boy or a girl, because with all the COVID issue, there was no scanning, there was nothing. So it was a surprise for everybody. Alhamdulillah, it was a pleasant surprise. She's a lovely girl, mashallah. She's annoying everybody at the moment. She wakes up when we want to go to sleep, and she goes to sleep when we're awake. So she's doing the opposite of everybody, keeping us all in our toes at the moment.
That's the way. MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
What happened last week actually inspired me, to be honest, personally, because I was tired last week as well, to be honest. And I'm like, and when you told me you got a baby on the way and you're still here, I was like, whoa, I have no worries. And I'm just being very lazy here. So now I always, to be honest with you, I think about it, motivates me. Hang on, have I really got any issues? No, there's no baby on the way. I better go. Do you know what I mean?
I've always learned, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in the hadith, look to those who are less fortunate than you. Don't look at those who are more fortunate than you. Because if you look down at those who are less fortunate than you, then you will understand that your problems are nothing compared to other people, and you will be better off. And for that reason, I've always tried to understand, alhamdulillah, we are in a very comfortable position. We have access to healthcare. We have no issues whatsoever. If something was to happen very quickly, then alhamdulillah, the hospital is literally about 5 minutes drive away from our house, so we could be there any minute, and we'll be able to have access. So alhamdulillah, we live in a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are blessed, and we need to be grateful and show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gratitude for what we have. And one of the ways to show gratitude for what we have and what I have is to do what I'm doing now, is to pass that knowledge to people and trying to explain to people about the aspects of the Quran or the Deen that I can, to the best of my knowledge and to the best of my ability. And that was one of the most important reasons why I stayed last week, and I'm here today, although we have a full party in the house now, but I managed to escape to do the show with yourself today.
Really appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, so let's crack on then, inshallah. So last week we did tafsir of Surah Naziyat.
Now,
and
yes,
inshallah today tafsir or explanation of Surah Abasa.
Now.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. So without further ado, inshallah, Sheikh, I'm going to put you on and I'll come back to you, inshallah, when you're done.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa la. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us all success and to keep us all safe and protected. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the ability to be grateful to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with. So today the surah is Surah Abasa. And one of the reasons Surah Abasa was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there was a beautiful story behind it. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was busy making da'wah to one of the leaders of Quraysh. And while he was in that position, a blind man, one of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his name is Abdullah ibn Maktoum, came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to ask him about aspects of the deen, if he's doing things correctly or not. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam ignored him because he was busy trying to bring this leader of Quraysh, the people of Mecca, to Islam, to trying to strengthen the Muslim community by explaining Islam to that man in the hope that that man would accept Islam. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was getting annoyed and upset, and he changed his facial reflections as well because of the persistent questioning of that companion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this surah as admonition to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but indirectly, out of respect to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So in the beginning of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Abasa wa tawalla. He was upset and he ignored him. An ja'ahu al-a'ma. When the blind man came, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't even name the companion at that point, out of respect as well. And he said, Al-A'ma, the blind one, to put softness and mercy in the heart of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَمَا يُدْرِيكَ لَعَلَّهُ يَزَّكَّى. How do you know that this man who you're trying to work very hard with, that it will, benefit him or he'll accept Islam? أَوْ يَذَّكَّرُ فَتَنْفَعَهُ الذِّكْرَ. But you have another companion, another man, was coming to you, he's a Muslim already, asking you about aspects of the deen, and your reminder to him, your answer to him, might help him to purify himself further, might help him in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أَمَّا مَنِ اسْتَغْنَى. But that one who has ignored you, he hasn't listened to you, فَأَنْتَ لَهُ تَصَدَّى. You're trying to stand on their way and making them, or making da'wah to them, maybe they're accepting Islam. وَمَا عَلَيْكَ أَلَّا يَزَّكَّى. And you have no harm will come to you if he doesn't listen. And in the end of the day, the da'wah or the prophets, their duty is to pass the message, not to trying to make more effort or make people or force people to accept Islam. And that was the message to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَأَمَّا مَنْ جَاءَكَ يَسْعَى وَهُوَ يَخْشَى فَأَنْتَ عَنْهُ تَلَهَّى. But the one who come to you, walking towards you, he has fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you ignored him. And al-Mu'mineen Aisha radiallahu anha said this story here, that it was revealed specifically for Abdullah ibn Maktoum radiallahu anhu, the companion of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who later became a mu'adhin as well, one of the callers of the adhan in the masjid of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, after this surah was revealed to him, every time he will see Abdullah ibn Maktoum radiallahu anhu, he will say to him, welcome to the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has admonished me because of, not as upset with him, but as greeting him, as knowing the state of the companion radiallahu anh, and it was revealed because of that reason. And from that part of the surah, the first part of the surah, we'll understand few things. First, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ wasn't spoken to by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in an angry manner or directly, out of respect to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. It was an indirect message to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to concentrate more on those who have accepted Islam, on those who understand the deen, and they wanted to learn more, to enable them to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala properly, and may they become even closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned Al-A'ma, the blind one, he didn't mention the name of the companion directly. And that is to soften the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's heart even more towards that companion. And for us, that is even a way to understand something else from here, which is to be closer to those people who have disability, to understand them more, to respect them more, to be more soft and gentle with them, to try to give them the ability to understand the deen. And when they come to the masajid, a lot of the masajid, by the way, are not prepared or made ready for people with disability, to do our best to try to enable them to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala properly and explain to Islam to them properly, and to have the tools available for those people with different disabilities, and trying to explain Islam to them and have them the ability to accept Islam properly. The other thing as well, that blind companion, Abdullah ibn Maktoum radiallahu anhu, when he came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he couldn't see who was the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was talking to. So he has an excuse for not being able to understand exactly what the surrounding or what's going on around the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that was one of the reasons Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed the surah. The other thing, the other benefit that we need to understand from this ayat, in Arabic, لا يترك أمر معلوم لأمر موهوم. You should not leave something that you're sure of to something that you're not, you don't know what's going to happen, if it's going to happen or not. So if you have something that you're sure of in front of you, you go ahead and you do that. Not delay it or change it because something you're not sure of. ولا مصلحة متحققة لمصلحة متوهمة. And for a beneficial thing that is assured of to something that might be beneficial if it happens, but you don't know if it could happen or not. So you don't ignore somebody who you know that in making da'wah, you know that is accepted Islam, he understand the deen, especially this is for new Muslims who accepted Islam, and sometimes they find themselves isolated. They find themselves in a situation where they struggle to understand the aspects of the deen because of the way they are treated, the way they are looked at, the way they sometimes even neglected and ignored. And this is very important for ourselves to make more effort into trying to concentrate our da'wah towards them, in educating them and working very hard, even doubling our efforts into trying to explain the deen to them properly, because these people have already made the effort and accepted Islam, and they need to be looked after and taken care of more. The reason in this ayat is not to, ignore people who do not listen to Islam, but it's to not try to not ignore the people who are coming forward to Islam, the people who are making an effort and coming towards you. Don't take that as a short thing, and because they come to Islam and accepted Islam, that's it, it's done deal, and that you have to make an effort with these people as well, because they are as important. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala admonished the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in these ayat, it's one of the most important things here. If the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wants to hide anything from the Quran, as some people have said he hid ayat from the Quran, he would have hid these ayat, an admonishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to him, but he didn't. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well is giving us the examples here that da'wah is not just for the rich or the most powerful, but it's for everybody. It's not for a rich because of their wealth, or a powerful person because of their position in the society, or a great person because of the whatever they have. It's for everybody. It's not for a relative because they're related to you. It's for everyone. It's for everyone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We've sent you as mercy to the whole of mankind, not for your tribe or your group of people or your relatives or the rich or the poor. No, it's for everyone. So the da'wah is for every single person in the face of the earth. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the ability to pass the message. Then in the next part of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, كَلَّا إِنَّهَا تَذْكِرَةٌ. It is a reminder. فَمَنْ شَاءَ ذَكَرَ. Those who wants to be reminded, then they will follow the reminder. And they will follow the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they will be amongst those people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will elevate their levels in the day of Qiyamah. And then it's a reminder from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the following ayat. قُتِلَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا أَكْفَرَهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us his surprise about man. How can he disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When Allah created, when Allah provided, when Allah blessed, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given everything, and you look at everything around you and you see the greatness of the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you still disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided the paths that you could follow in front of you, ثُمَّ السَّبِيلَ يَسَّرَهُ ثُمَّ أَمَاتَهُ فَأَقْبَرَهُ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who provides life, and he the one who takes it. And here فَأَقْبَرَهُ, meaning he provided the burial for. And this is a proof that when a Muslim or a believer passes away, they need to be buried, and that is a priority as long as it is a possibility. But if it's not possible, then the next option can be looked at, and that is something for another day, inshallah, to discuss. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ثُمَّ إِذَا شَاءَ أَنْشَرَهُ. You know, the disbelievers said in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, why didn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, brought the ones who died nations and generations ago back to life to be questioned? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, it is in the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do whatever he wants when the time comes. And that time is in the day of Qiyamah. كَلَّا لَمَّا يَقْضِ مَا أَمَرَهُ. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to do something, he will do it. And no one have the ability to go against the will and the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَى طَعَامِهِ. Should man look at his food that he eat. أَنَّا صَبَبْنَا الْمَاءَ صَبًّا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings the rain from the skies and the heaven. ثُمَّ شَقَقْنَا الْأَرْضَ شَقًّا. Who enabled the ground to open for the plants and the seeds to grow from it, to become trees and food for people. فَأَنْبَتْنَا فِيهَا حَبًّا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala growed the seeds from the ground. وَعِنَبًا وَقَضْبًا. Grapes and other kinds of plants that animals eat from as well. وَزَيْتُونًا وَنَخْلًا. And olives and dates comes from it. وَحَدَائِقَ غُلْبًا. And gardens of فَاكِهَةً وَأَبًّا. Different fruits and different plants that animals eat from. مَتَاعًا لَكُمْ وَلِأَنْعَامِكُمْ. For yourselves to benefit from and for your animals as well. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as in the previous surah, ended this surah with a reminder about the hereafter. And here we need to take a moment, because the reminder here is different from the previous reminder. Here it's more to the point about what will happen in the day of Qiyamah. فَإِذَا جَاءَتِ الصَّاخَّةُ. One of the names of the day of Qiyamah. And a sakha here is something that is loud to the point that no one will not hear it. Everyone will hear. You know, that loud noise, everyone will hear. And it is one of the days of Qiyamah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ. Man will run away from his brother. وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ. His father and his mother. وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ. الصاحبة here, the word صاحبته, is talking about the wife. And we'll stop at this one for a minute after we discuss the previous ayat. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, explaining in the hadith, that in the day of Qiyamah, a man will come and will say to his children, haven't I looked after you? And the mother will come as well and say to her children, haven't I looked after you? Haven't I taken care of you? Haven't I been a good father or a good mother to you? Give me some of your good deeds. And the children will say, myself. You know, I have no deeds to give. You know, the wife will come to her husband and say the same. Haven't I been a good wife? Haven't I been obedient wife? Haven't I listened to you? Haven't I been supportive to you? Give me some of your good deeds. And he'll say, myself, myself. And the husband will say to his wife, haven't I been a good husband? Haven't I taken care of you? Haven't I looked after you? Give me some of your good deeds. And they will say the same, myself, myself. In that day, everyone will say, myself, myself. No one will give to anybody. But the word sahiba here, it's not just a wife. A wife, you know, zawja. Sahiba is companion. Is the wife who is a companion. That means the level of love and respect between them has reached to an extent that they are connected with each other in this dunya to an extent they cannot be separated from one another. Because of the effort that they have put in that marriage, they became more of companions, that they are linked to each other, that during difficult times or good times, they will always be together. Supportive of one another, taking care of one another, looking after one another, respecting one another. But in the day of Qiyamah, all of that will go away. That will not make any difference. You know, even this dunya, in this life that we live in, you know, even during the most difficult times, they will be supportive of one another. The wife will always look after her husband, and the husband will look after his wife, because that relationship between them is so strong, it cannot be broken. But in the day of Qiyamah, that will be different. Al-Mu'mineen Aisha radiallahu anha said to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he said that in the day of Qiyamah, people will be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala naked, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created them to the first stage to be created, in hufatan ghurlan, uncircumcised, and they are barefooted. And Aisha radiallahu anha said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, men and women looking at each other, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said they will have a greater thing to think about rather than doing that. So they will have no time and no space to look at each other or trying to think what the other person looks like or what this person is looking like. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ شَأْنُ يُغْنِيهِ. To every one of them on that day, something to think about, to keep them occupied rather than to think about anyone else or what their loved ones are doing on that day, because everyone is thinking about their deeds. Have they done enough deeds to make them go past the questioning and enter into Jannah, or they're going to be the ones who are going to be unfortunate and they're going to be punished for the mischief and the sins that they have done in this life? And we explained that in that day, everyone will be questioned. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you've done. But there will be a group of people from the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who will enter into Jannah without questioning. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability and make us amongst those ones. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given a description about the believers when He said, وَجُوهُ يَوْمَئِذٍ مُسْفِرَةٌ. There will be on that day faces that is bright, full of color, full of light, because they will receive the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ضَاحِكَةٌ مُسْتَبْشِرَةٌ. Smiling, happy, because of the glad tidings that they will receive from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted them on that day from Jannah and from the reward that they will receive in Jannah. وَوُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَلَيْهَا غَبَرَةٌ. And there will be other faces that will be darkened. They will be, because of what they will receive from the bad news regarding their punishment and them entering into the hellfire. تَرْحَقُهَا قَتَرًا. They will be humiliated, looking down. They can't lift their faces up and face the consequences of their actions in this dunya. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَفَرَةُ الْفَجَرَةُ. Those are the ones who belied Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and disbelieved in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the greatest rewards that the believers will receive in the day of Qiyamah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all that, is after the people of Jannah enter into Jannah and after the people of the hellfire enter the hellfire, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come to the people of Jannah and say, have you received what I have promised you? And they will say, yes, O Allah. Are you looking for anything else? And they say, oh Allah, what else? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will remove the veils between Him and the believers, and they will be able to receive the highest and the most ultimate of rewards, which is the ability to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is when they say, Hal min mazid. Is there any more? That's mazid. That is more. And that's something more greater than what anyone else would want in that day. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the ability. So there is a lot of benefits, a lot of lessons from this surah. Respect everyone, look after everyone, especially those people with disabilities. Those are the people that need our support and our help. You know, whatever their disability is, it could be a mental health issue, it could be a physical disability, it could be an emotional disability. Somebody could be emotionally scarred to the point they became, unable to do anything. They need our help and they need our support, and we need to look after them and address them in a way that is suitable and a way that will enable them to achieve whatever aim they're trying to do, as long as it is good and beneficial to them, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us more understanding and greater understanding. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala install this mercy that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam had in our hearts, to be able to help everyone and benefit the whole of the ummah and the whole of mankind, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Imam Waleid.
Jazakallah khair.
That tafsir of Surah Abasa. Imam Waleid, alhamdulillah, we've got a couple of comments have come in while you were delivering the tafsir. So I've got a question here from Sister Salwa for you. She says, now that our masjids are open, washrooms are closed, what happens if on Jummah a brother loses his wudu? If you know the answer, please provide evidence via Quran and Sunnah.
Well, it doesn't need evidence from the Quran and the Sunnah. Everyone need to take their precautions, and everyone need to be able to, prepare themselves before they come to the masajid. And because of the wudu places are closed and shut, we need to take our precautions. So we need to have at least some water available with us. If we need to do our own wudu, we could do that outside of the masjid, and we could go outside and do that. If the point comes at the masajid, I think they will still have some access to an emergency situation in case somebody need access to toilets in an emergency way. That is needed anyway in a public place. That will always be needed, and I think there are steps taken to disinfect these places in case people uses them anyway. So there is no need for people to be alarmed. The priority is for people to start making their wudu at home and prepare themselves before they come to the masajid. And I think a lot of the masajid are only going to be open a very short time before the prayers, and they will be shut immediately as well after the prayers. So people don't linger around too much and have the normal socializing and chatter outside of the masajid as well. So there will be, I think, limited access to wudu and toilet facilities, but I don't think it's going to be as it used to be in the past, which is full open. But there will be limited access, inshallah, especially for those people who have health concerns. Somebody might have diabetes and they don't have, they have to visit the toilet very frequently. So there will be access, but it's just for emergency, and inshallah there will be. But if somebody, has an issue and they had to leave, then inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them for their effort for coming to the masjid, because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Innama al-a'malu bin-niyyat wa innama likulli imri'in ma nawa." Your deeds will be judged according to your intentions, and everyone will be rewarded for the intention that they had. So if a person goes to the masjid with the intention of praying Jum'ah and they had to leave because they broken the wudu and they had no access to wudu facilities because they are shut or they couldn't get access to water at that time, I'm not going to say do tayammum because water is available. So you will be, if you had to go back home and do your wudu again and pray dhuhr because you couldn't stay in the masjid, then inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you for your effort because you had the intention of praying Jum'ah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards for people for their intention if they couldn't achieve whatever they're trying to achieve, inshallah.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. The sister's commented again. She's saying, thank you. you've answered a question to bring her own water. From her understanding, washrooms are closed. Where I think the sister is actually messaging from the United States, from the US.
Okay.
So I was not told there is limited access. So I guess everyone's got their different situations.
Every masjid is going to be different. You know, where I am at the moment, we have informed everyone to do their wudu at home, but we will have very limited access. So in case somebody had an emergency, somebody had an accident, they need to do whatever they need to do. They need to go and make their wudu. That will be absolutely fine. And then we have taken the precautions after that, that as soon as we finish the salah, we will disinfect the place straight away to make sure that it is safe in case it needs to be used again. So we have taken these steps in preparation. But if you are in a place where they have shut it completely down, then take your own water. Take a small bottle of water. I could do a demonstration that you don't need more than a very small bottle of water. The 500 centiliters water bottles, the 50, to actually make your wudu. You don't need to open the tap fully. Islam is about saving and looking after the environment as well, and one of them is not to waste water. Mashallah, some of the brothers, when they go to make their wudu, and the sisters, they will be like having a shower or having a bath underneath the tap. The tap is fully wide open and they're wasting water. You don't need to do that. A small bottle of water is more than sufficient to enable you to perform your wudu and wash yourself. So don't waste. Take a small bottle of water with you in case of an emergency. You need, accidents do happen. When nature calls, sometimes you can't stop yourself. So you don't, if somebody passes wind or somebody, then they can't do wudu. But if you have another health concern, then in the meantime, if you know that you're not going to have access to the washing facility or the toilet facilities, then my advice to the brothers and sisters, pray at home until you are, in a safe environment where you know that you will be able to use the facilities if you need to use them because of your health concerns. But for somebody else who went and they had an accident, they passed wind or something, and they needed to make wudu, then take your precautions. Be prepared. This time is about preparation and always thinking ahead. What if? Then you are prepared and ready, rather than coming to a point where you say, I wish I did. So we have a saying in the Arabic language, al-wiqaya khayrun min al-ilaj. Prevention is better than cure. So when you prevent yourself from catching a disease, is better than catching the disease and then after that trying to find a cure for it. So be prepared, and have everything ready for yourself before you go to the masjid. In case something happens, keep a bottle of water in your car, if you're driving, or keep it with you. The steps that we are taking now, can I talk about the steps we're taking now for the preparation to ourselves, or we'll talk about the later?
What is
okay, so ourselves, we announced to people that they need to bring their own prayer mats with them. So everyone has to bring their own prayer mats. At the moment, we haven't made an announcement about Jum'ah yet, but inshallah, we will be making that within the next couple of days if we're going to be holding Jum'ah or not. But everyone who can come to the masjid, they're more than welcome to come to the masjid, as long as they bring their own prayer mats with them, as long as they have a bag where they could put their shoes in and they take their shoes with them and keep it with them all the time. We're asking people to keep a small bottle of hand sanitizer with them if they can, in case they need to sanitize their hands, especially in surfaces that a lot of people open, like doors, for example, or things like this. Inshallah, we will, encourage people as well. If the mosque is, if they're going to come to the mosque in Jum'ah, then they need to wear face masks as well because of the number of people. Because mitigating circumstances, if you have good ventilation, then you don't need it. But for ourselves, there's not good ventilation around because there's not many windows around the building. So people need to bring face masks with them and make sure that they make their wudu at home. And there will be one-way system installed for Jum'ah as well. So people will enter from one door and they will exit from the other door, and there will be limited numbers inside of the masjid. So we might even have to do 2 Jum'ahs prayers for people to allow them, as many people as we can, to come to the masjid and pray Jum'ah in the masjid. It's not decided yet, but these are the options that we have at the moment. At the end of the day, it's about making the masajid accessible to as many people as we can, but at the same time, taking precautionary measures to protect everyone as well. And we need people's help at this as well. So my advice to everyone, if you are suffering and you have any health concerns, then stay at home. Do not put yourself and other people in danger. Help us, inshallah, to keep the masajid going and the masajid open. So if anyone is suffering, they have any of the symptoms, then stay at home. If you go to a masjid and somebody checked your temperature at the masjid entrance and they find that your temperature high, don't get upset about not being able to go into the masjid. It's a precautionary measure to protect you and to protect everyone else. Because if Allah may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. But if there was to be an outbreak from one masjid, then imagine how long the masjid will be shut for again. And how many people are going to be affected by that, because everyone has to be tracked and traced, and everyone will have to isolate for 14 days, even if they don't have any symptoms. And if somebody was to contract the virus, how many vulnerable people go to the masajid at the moment? A lot of people go to the masajid. Some of the masajid are taking it to the extreme, and I am against that, in putting really strict measures against, the community. But you have to remember there are a lot of people who don't have access to the internet. They can't access the the codes that people are doing. You need to be safe, but at the same time, don't put too many restrictions against the people from visiting the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make it easy for people. At the same time, do your best to protect people. As long as you're taking these steps, then rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide the protection and the safety and the security for people as well, inshallah.
Inshallah. So what's your plan if the masjid gets too full, for example, for a normal Maghrib or Isha Salah?
At the moment, we have social distancing anyway. So people are encouraged to keep social distancing. At the moment, we are in the process of just being softly and gently with people, explaining to them, to keep that distance between each other when they are praying in Jama'at, bringing the prayer mats. But from next week, we will be more stricter. So if people are not obeying the rules and regulations that are being set, then they will be told to go home. You take a period of time to enable people to get used to the new system. And if people don't listen, then they will be told to go home. And at that point, it's not our fault. It's their fault for being stubborn. And unfortunately, there are some brothers and sisters who are very stubborn. They don't listen to advice. It doesn't matter how many times you tell them, they think they know best and they know better.
Right.
They don't understand that they put us in a very dangerous and legal dilemma. We have to, by the law, provide these measures to stay open. Otherwise, if they put themselves in that position, then they have only themselves to blame. So social distancing is still allowed. We are combining Maghrib and Isha at the moment, so people don't have to come back to the masjid. When people who are from the same family, if they come to the masjid, they can pray together. They don't have to social distance because they are from the same household, as long as they are from the same household. So I can't bring my brother from another household and bring him to the masjid, and then I say, oh, he's my brother, we live together. No, you're from different households. So there's no cheating. I know everyone, and I keep an eye on everybody, and they know when I give them that look that they have to behave themselves, otherwise there will be trouble around. So you become like a very strict head teacher, unfortunately, of a very naughty school, and you have to. you have to, unfortunately. That's the unfortunate situation that we find ourselves in. And but alhamdulillah, everybody seems to be understanding, and they following the rules and regulation, and they are helping. But we encourage everyone in the different places to look after each other, And these measures are not to prevent you from coming to the masjid, but they are there to protect you and protect your family and your loved ones, because it is a very dangerous illness. And if somebody was to contract it and they have an underlying health issue, it could be really dangerous and fatal. So we need to be very careful, and we need to take this seriously. It's not a joke. Some people starting, with the conspiracy theories and all sorts of things. They have the right to believe whatever they believe, but you need to understand that some people don't believe in what you're believing in the same thing, and you need to respect their opinion as well and provide them with the respect. That means you keep your social distancing and follow the regulation that they set.
Yeah. I was just going to ask about the combination of Maghrib and Isha. Is that you're doing that so then people don't have to come back again for Isha, or is that because of the time of...
We do it. We usually do it because of the time of the year it is. It's very late, Isha and Maghrib. So we usually do it, but at this moment of time, we are going to continue doing it while we're still in the climate of the pandemic that we are in at the moment. So while the pandemic is still out in public circulation, we will keep on doing it, even if it carries on beyond the usual time that we stop combining Maghrib and Isha together, just to stop people from coming or having to come back to the masjid. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abdullah ibn Abbas was asked, why did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam combine Maghrib and Isha in a time or combine the Salah in a time where there was no excuse, there was no rain, he wasn't traveling? And Ibn Abbas replied, so he does not make it difficult for his ummah. And for that reason, there are permissions in extreme circumstances to combine, even if it was not the normal reasons for combining Maghrib and Isha, or Dhuhr and Asr, for example. So people can combine even if they're at home, if during these times, if they're feeling fatigued, needed to sleep, and especially nowadays, Fajr is very close to Isha as well. So there are, leeways for people to do it, especially in the northern, the far northern hemisphere, where there's hardly any night at the moment. There's only a few hours of night, so there are permissions for people to do so.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. And inside the mosque, I wanted to ask you as well, because I'm in Saudi here now. We've been open for about 4 or 5 weeks, the mosques. And inside the mosque, they've got like stickers on the ground. So keeping a 2 meters distance. Are you guys doing something similar?
Inshallah, we will be doing the same thing. We've got the stickers. The rest of the PPE, say the masjid PPE, because the masjid need protection as well. So it's not just for ourselves. So that will arrive inshallah by Tuesday. So on Tuesday we will have the carpet washed and cleaned, and then inshallah we will put these stickers measured to a 2 meter distance, or 1 meter plus at the moment. The legal government guidelines 1 meter plus, and the plus means there has to be other steps taken to mitigate the situation. So you need to have either good ventilation around the building, or people need to wear facial masks at the time. So if everybody's happy to wear the face masks when they come to the mosque, then we will put the distance to 1 meter. Otherwise, it will stay in 2 meters if people don't listen. So we have the stickers ready to go. We will have, inshallah, by Tuesday or Wednesday, the latest, hand sanitizer stations outside in the entrance. They're not going to be hand operated, so they will be either elbow operated or foot operated, so people don't have to touch them directly with their hands, so they can sanitize their hands before they come into the masjid and when they leave the masjid, inshallah, as well.
Right. And you said you're going to be cleaning the mosque. Like, how will you be doing it? Just the doors and handles where people go, or literally the whole thing after every salah?
No, the handles and the door handles, whatever people touches, usually they will be washed, well, not washed, but cleaned. The Qur'ans, we will encourage people as well to bring their own Qur'ans from home, or use a Qur'an app on their phone rather than touching the Qur'ans in the mosque as well. So these steps will be taken. If people don't listen, then we will remove all the Qur'ans from the shelves. So people, will have to adhere to the guidelines if they want the mosques to stay open. The last time we had to shut the masjid, wallahi, it was a painful experience, and one of the most painful experiences I had to go through. And to be honest, I don't want to go through one again. So we will do our, utmost best to keep everything going, but we will be very strict. If people don't listen and don't adhere to the guidelines, then we will have to come even more stricter with certain individuals. And unfortunately, in every masjid, you will find certain individuals who are just, I wouldn't say troublemakers, but I would say very cheeky and very naughty. So we'll have to deal with them, inshallah, when the time comes.
All right, inshallah. There's another question here from Facebook. Sister Sal says, are women going to the masajid on Jummah if they're not required to go, especially during this time? I guess we can provide more space for the brothers.
Right. Listen, the salah for the sisters is better to be at home, but they should not be prevented from going to the masajid. The Prophet ﷺ said, do not prevent the female servants of Allah from entering the houses of Allah. But unfortunately, some masajid, they don't have the facilities, they don't have the abilities. And our masjid, for example, we have, it's like a temporary location. It's like a warehouse that we're using at the moment. So we don't have the facilities really to provide space for the sisters to be on their own. So we have a curtain divider to provide the place for the sisters. But in Jum'ah, we don't, have any sisters coming to the masjid to pray Jum'ah. And it was one of the most difficult, decisions we had to take. Alhamdulillah, everybody understand. We have other masajid that have provided spaces for the sisters to go. If the masjid can accommodate, then they should do so. If they can't accommodate because of the social distancing and the limited numbers that are going to be allowed, then they should discuss that with the rest of the congregation as well, the regular people who attend the masjid, males and females. Because it is within their own benefit to have that mashura, that shura. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُم. And they should not neglect the female in their own communities as well, because they are an important part of the community. They should receive the same level of education in Islam, the same level of understanding, and they should be given the same rights as well of entering the masjid and worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the masajid. They should not be denied. But each masjid have its own circumstances. I'm not going to speak in behalf of other masajid because I don't know their circumstances and whatever the situation they're going through. But if it is compulsory for men to attend, and it is optional for the sisters to attend. So if the sisters can stay at home during this time, then it will be best. But if they still want to attend, then that's something they should raise with their own mosque committees or whoever is running the masajid or the centers in their own community, and see if there are solutions that can be found around this issue to provide space for everyone, inshallah.
Inshallah. And what would you advise to people that are coming for Salah and especially Jummah to get there early before the Adhan or right at the Adhan time? When should they arrive? They want to make sure they get their space in the masjid.
Well, to be honest, there will be delay because I will encourage people to try to attend early because the khutbah will be shortened. It will not be the long 45 minutes or half an hour it used to be. It will be just around 10 minutes. The people temperature will be checked before they enter into the masjid for Jummah. They need to bring their own personal protection materials, so their masks, their gloves, they need to bring that before they come to the masjid and wear it before they come to the masjid. Do not wear it from home, because if you wear it from home, then you will be told to change it. Because whatever you wear from your home will bring whatever you've got at home with you. So you need to wear it just before you enter into the masjid. And so you need to be there early because there will be some delay. It will take time to get everybody through and filtered because it will be one-way system, and people need to appreciate that it will take time and there will be some delay for Friday prayer. But other prayers, the masjid is open as normal because we don't have that large number of people coming, and people can come in as long as, of course, they adhere to the social distancing and keep themselves, away from everyone else. And the idea of shaking hand as well, mashallah, we love shaking hand and hugs. That has to stop. You get brothers, mashallah, still till this day coming and sticking their hands right in your face, and they want to hug you, and it's just they put you in an awkward position. And I say to people, just use the heart, hand on heart salute. I think is more than enough at the moment. And inshallah, there will be a day when things go back to normal, and inshallah, we will be able to embrace each other and have the love for each other, inshallah, demonstrated even more.
Inshallah. Yeah, to be honest with you, the Jummah here, it caught me off guard a couple of times. I had to pray in the street in like 45, 50 degree heat. I got there just literally even about 5 minutes before Adhan, and I was on the streets, man, and it was rough. So that's what I was asking, and also maybe some advice to other people for Jummah, get there a bit early.
To be honest, in our local masjid, if we do the 1 meter social distancing, the capacity will be limited to roughly around 150 people.
Compared to what was it before?
More than 400.
Right. So about 25%.
So yeah, you lose a huge chunk of space, because in the past you used to squeeze next to each other and you're very close to each other, and even used to is out of that meter you used to get 2 people praying in that meter. But now you won't be able to. You will not be able to. So people will have to, first of all, have patience. No arguments and no fighting and no shouting and no screaming outside of the masjid if you don't get space. Understand that whatever we're doing it because it's legal requirement to keep the masjid open, and at the same time to protect you as a person. Because trust me, if there was an outbreak because we did not do what we need to do to protect everybody, then you will be the first person to complain. So don't. Respect the decision. Try to be there early, on time. Have some understanding. Have patience. And we might have to do 2 Jummahs to provide the numbers, as I mentioned. So there will be other opportunities. If you can't do it on the first one, then you might be able to do it in the second one. But do not try to be aggressive and abusive of the people who are just doing whatever they're doing to try to protect everybody. Be respectful, be patient, and inshallah this calamity will be lifted from us very soon, and we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to lift it sooner than later from the whole of the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. These people who are complaining outside of the masjid because of the numbers or because of the situation, think about those people who saved for years to be able to go and do Hajj, and they're not going to be able to do it this year. These people, some of them might not even have the chance next year because they might pass away, and they might not even have the chance to do it. Think about these people who have to put up with this most difficult decision that they have to make because of the pandemic that is carrying not just one country but the whole of the world. So not being able to pray in the masjid for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 weeks more is not as bad as somebody who has to miss the journey of a lifetime, the ability to fulfill the 5th pillar of Islam because of the pandemic. Think about the struggle that they are going through at the moment because of that. So just be patient, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lift this calamity from us very soon.
I mean, just last couple of comments here, Imam Waleid. Sister Salwa saying, thank you for this answer. About women attending Jummah, Shura is a very wise approach. We've got another comment from Twitter by Brother Khan. They will be forgiven by Allah, inshallah. Okay, Imam Waleid, Jazakallah khair. That's it from my side. I'll hand it over to you for final words.
Inshallah, it's this time it's not an easy time for everybody, and I know everybody's tried very hard and waited for a long time now, more than 3 months, to be able to go to the masjid. We missed Ramadan in the masjid, and trust me, it wasn't easy for me. It wasn't easy for a lot of people. It's the first time since 1990 that I didn't pray Taraweeh and Jama'ah in the masjid. So it's not an easy thing, but we bared with it. We were patient, and it's not going to harm to be more patient for just a few more days or few more weeks until this issue, inshallah, is resolved. And we have a system for everybody, inshallah, to be able to attend the masjid and to be able to use the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is everyone's responsibility, and everyone responsible of taking care of these masajid and looking after them and keeping them safe and protected as well. So it is our duty, it is our responsibility to make sure that there is no harm that can come to anyone from the masajid. So if you are ill, unwell, stay at home. Don't put yourself and other people in danger. Remember, there are elders, there are people with other underlying health issues. They might not even know about it, that they will be attending the masajid, and you could be causing harm to all of them, and you don't want to be facing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that on your conscience, because you will be responsible, and if you are responsible for bringing harm to anyone, then you will be questioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that. So stay safe, stay protected, look after the masajid, make sure that no harm come to the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through anyone's actions. And inshallah, when this goes, this issue is lifted, inshallah, we will come together one day. We will meet each other one day. We will discuss and talk about our struggles one day, and trying to, bring solace to one another and bring comfort to one another, and be able to, inshallah, discuss this in more depth and more understanding with each other, inshallah. And it is a point of learning as well, for every single one, for myself as well, to learn from what we've gone through, and inshallah to have better preparation as houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the future, inshallah, and for the future generation to learn from this as well, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah khair, Imam Waleid. So thank you very much again for the tafsir of Surah. And what's the tafsir for next week for the benefit of our audience?
Inshallah, we will go through Surah At-Takwir, إذا الشمس كورت, which is the surah after that, inshallah. And inshallah, there are lessons to learn from it as well. Surah At-Takwir is talking about the day of Qiyamah, it's talking about the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the message of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Jazakallah khair. Alhamdulillah. So inshallah, catch you next week.
Inshallah. Now I'll go and embrace my little one and trying to make her smile.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Enjoy.
Inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.